Hello, my name is Irene, and I'm going to be going over the Danny Boy lesson plan. So when we start this lesson plan, we begin with warm-ups as we do anytime we want to sing. It's good to warm up the vocal cords, that way they're stretched and you won't cause injury or strain. Also, make sure you drink water before we get started. That way, it's also hydrated. So, we begin this lesson plan and these warm-ups with lip trills. So, lip trills are, you know how you always just sometimes go like this? So, I want you to do that, but instead on pitches. So, solfege syllables are do, mi, sol, and do. Sometimes they're do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You may have heard these syllables spoken like in songs like do, a deer, a female deer, re, a drop of golden sun is a great example of a song that teaches kids solfege syllables. So we're going to be singing solfege syllables on the pitch and in the key of C major. In this case, C is do. So when we do these lip trills, we want to sing the note while also trilling. So it'd be like this. So they want us to ascend chromatically from C4, which is middle C, to G, which is just 5 whole steps above that. So let's begin. Okay, now after you do this, it's going to be pretty itchy around the nose area. So just be careful of that. Next, we move on to text and notation. No, we don't. Next, we move on to scalar warm-ups, or scalar warm-ups, I think. And these are with verbalized syllables, and they're ascending and descending on, they're descending and descending, and you do a crescendo every time it ascends, and then a diminuendo every time it descends. So, the first exercise is a scale in thirds, which would be from do, mi, re, fa, mi, sol, fa, la, and so on. So if I were to play ascending, it'd start off soft, and I'd have to increase my volume as I go on. But then when I come back down, I start at that same point, and then I get quieter. And that is a crescendo and a diminuendo. So we're going to begin by doing the scale in thirds, the first one, from syllables do, mi, re, fa, mi, sol, and so on. Start. Do, mi, re, fa, mi, sol, fa, la, sol, ti, la, do, ti, re, do. Do, la, ti, sol, la, fa, sol, mi, fa, re, mi, do, re, ti, do. Okay. So, after that, we're going to do a scale in fourths and fifths. And these are from the syllables of do and sol, which, if we're talking about C and G, that's a fifth. That's a perfect fifth. But descending back down, we'd then be going from sol to re, which would be a perfect fourth. So they want us to ascend in fifths and then descend in fourths, I think. So let's start. Do, sol, re, la, mi, sol, fa, do, sol, re, la, mi, ti, fa, do. Come back down. Now for our last singing warm-up exercise, we're just going to do a chromatic scale. Chromatic scales are done on the syllables of do, di, re, mi, fa when it's ascending, and then fa, mi, re, ra, do. So D, when you descend, becomes Ra, and Re, when you descend, becomes May, and so on when we go up the scale. So we're just going to go an octave. We're going to do this. All right, ready? And this is your starting pitch. Go. Do, di, re, mi, fa, fi, sol, si, la, si, la, li, ti, do. Do, ti, ti, la, le, sol, le, sol, fi, fa, mi, re, ra, do. Okay. Now we're going to explain the text and notation of Danny Boy. So, when we have half notes or sustained notes in a piece, the rhythms of this piece aren't too complicated. The only things I'd want you to look out for are dotted quarter notes, which if we do the starting phrase, I apologize. If we do the starting phrase, that's from, I think this piece is in the key of E flat major, but I could be wrong. Yes, E flat major. Yes. Okay, I lost my scroller. I am sorry. Okay, so now, when we look at the opening phrase of the piece, we have the soprano start on D. That's the opening line, and in the alto, it's and so on and so forth. So they want us to look out for held out notes, half notes and greater, and they want this to be mostly sustained on the vowel that the note starts on. So what I mean by that is, let's say we have a half note and it starts on the word side, and then we hold that out for 2 beats. So side and off. So yeah, they just want us to make sure that it's sustained on the vowel of the word that we just sung and not just us singing the pitch by itself. So I'm not just gonna go, ah. I would sing it with the word that it is accompanied by. So it would be side. Next, in measure 13, they want the use of the word snow to be compared to the open and closedness of the initial O and ending U or U with the W. So in measure 13, we have the valleys start, and from valleys to hushed and white with snow goes up to the high G. That's leading up to the high G, all the way at the end of that stanza. So the vowel that you're talking about, snow, is here, and I just want to make sure that your mouth remains open and you're singing it on a O vowel and making sure that you enunciate the word properly while not having too harsh of a diction, singing it on its proper pitch, and sustaining the half note for its full beat. And last but not least, no, second to last, in measure 14, which is where the grand high G is, G5, for the syllable here or word here, they want they don't want it to be a harsh I, or they don't want it to be a harsh I. They want you to do a soft E sound. So when we sing English especially, English is a bit difficult to sing because of the harshness of the diction, and then it shouldn't be sung like we're talking to somebody. It should be sung like well, like we're singing, and we're trying to convey the emotions of the piece to our audience. So when we say the word here, it sounds too harsh. So you want to slur the letters a bit and make sure instead of the harsh I sounding of the E in the word here, it sounds more like well an E, but a rounded E. So to demonstrate, I'll try to sing the G and show you what that might sound like. I don't think I did it properly, but they basically just want it to not be that harsh. Last but not least, they want to discuss the retardando at the end of measure 13. And that's the slow start up to the climax. So those notes would be... And that would be... a 6. That's a major 6 skip. And they want us to be able to slow down and for you to look at the conductor when you're singing his piece and follow his hand movements and his eye contact so you can get the right approach when you're gearing up to that climax. Well, the first one out of 2. So instead of it'd be you build up to it. For the last examples that I'm going to be talking about in this lesson, we're going to be talking about singing. So let's say I'm the conductor and I'm going to be conducting you through this choir piece of Danny Boy. I want you to start breathing together as a piece on beats. So let's say I wanted you to breathe. Okay. So let's say I wanted you to breathe. Okay. So I'm not entirely sure. I think what they mean is they just want you guys to breathe the rhythm of the piece, I think. So as a conductor, I'd be conducting you through certain phrases as you breathe the rhythm of the piece. So let's say for measure 1, we are in common time. And without pitch, it'd be 1, 2, 3. No, I don't think that's how they want you to breathe it. They don't make that clear on how exactly I want you to breathe, but I think that's what they meant. Also, as conductor, I have to make sure that you guys watch me when I'm conducting my pickup notes. So, if I were conducting this piece, Danny Boy, I would make it clear that I want you guys to know when you're doing pickup notes, well, basically an anacrusis, and that you don't miss your cue. For measures 7 to 8, we're going to be talking about accidentals and intonation. So that'd be from falling, it's you, of the piece. And in this section of the piece, the alto, tenor, and bass have accidental changes, with the tenor having the greatest accidental change. Do is going to D, mi is going to may, and sol is going to si. So for that, they want us to practice these accidentals and intonations with, I think, block chords. So, let's say the pianist that's playing the accompaniment file, if there is one, is going to block the chords for you, of which one to be. Let's say the phrase starts with a 5 chord, and I play the 5, but then all of a sudden I have to go back to do, and I think I just raise the chord by a half step. Only do. I'd raise do by a half step. So that would go from here to here, basically becoming a diminished chord. No, it is a diminished chord. Instead of E flat, G, B flat, it's now E natural, G, B flat. And in the other voices, on that note, you have the alto sustaining a C natural. You have the tenors playing an E. Singing an E. And then you have the bass sustaining an A natural. And this creates, no, not yet. You have the bass sustaining an A flat. Now this is an augmented chord. So you would block all of the three parts together. Okay, yeah, you would block all of the three parts together. You'd play all of their lines, but in block chords. So let's see if I can do this. The voicing is pretty far apart. If I bring it up closer, it starts like this on what I think is a diminished chord, and then the alto and the tenor descend to the C, so in a perfect octave, and then the alto stays on the C, while the tenor goes to E flat, and then the bass goes to A flat. So first, that is a major 4 chord, but then you have the E flat ascend by a half step, and then you have, you just have the E flat ascend by a half step. So that would be, now we have a diminished A flat chord. Moving on to measures 9 and 13. In measure 9, the words spoken are bide but come ye back, and that's are starting into the big moment where we have the high G. So for these measures, they want us to focus on crescendos and decrescendos and practice 3 different tempos. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Just have I'm going back and forth between first person and third person. Okay, just have your I would have my class go from I would have my class practice the crescendos and decrescendos. So to do that, when we have the phrase it would start slow. I would conduct them normally as we gear up to this, and then have them get louder. Also making sure they're paying attention to the tie and seeing that it lasts for 2.5 beats, because it's a half note into an 8th note. And making sure they pay attention to the dynamic markings and the dynamic markings. For measures 16 and 17, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me. So they just want us to do the same thing as I talked about earlier, with the accidental changes in intonation. The pianist, the non-existent pianist, will, or I will play all of your parts together, and we'll pick out the accidentals. That way, when I play all of your parts together in the block chords, you'll be able to hear what stands out and be able to find your pitch a bit easier. For measures 18 and 19, they want the choir to do stepwise and scale practice. So first they want the choir to sing an E flat scale at a comfortable range in solfege, and then they want them to have respective 8th note sections, measure 18 and 19 in solfege slowly, emphasizing usage of do, mi, sol as benchmarks for staying in key. So the choir would, as the lesson plan said, the choir would begin an E flat scale at a comfortable range in solfege. So to do this, we just sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And that's about it. Making sure that each voice part isn't going too high or too low, and that they're all in their perfect range. Next, they want their part to sing their respective eighth note sections of measure 18 and 19 in solfege slowly. So what that means is they just want you guys to do the parts from all of your separate voice lines from measures 18 to 19. And what that means is you'll just sing these pitches. For example, for the soprano, it's till you come to me. Till you come to me. So for example, you'll be singing re do do re do. For the alto, you'd be singing la 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 ti la 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 ti ti la sol is what the alto would be singing, and so on and so forth. So that's what they want you guys to do. Okay, moving on to the final bar from Radha. For this, they just want you guys to cut off at the exact same time. So they want you guys to stop singing the piece at the exact same time, meaning you have to watch the conductor closely, and when they go like this, zip it in a way, just stop singing. But make sure you all do this at the exact same time so it doesn't sound like, popcorn. What I mean by that is, let's say we're all in an E flat chord. Instead of this, we have this. So just make sure you watch the conductor and end at the right time. So, also in pertaining to the ending, they want us to practice adding 1 bar at a time, up to 4 bars for the very end. So what this means is they just want us to chord build. So all the way at the end of the piece, at the oh Danny boy, the soprano goes into a splits, and on these notes they would be singing a C, and that's where the soprano ends. The alto ends on a B flat, the tenor ends on an E, the high E, tenor ends on the high E, and the bass ends on the low E. So they want us to build up this chord slowly. So that would be, that's not the right note, sorry, hold on, I'm just gonna move my camera, yep. So that would be like this. And they just want you guys to build up. So the conductor would signal each voice part separately. They go bass, basses, tenors, alto, soprano, and they'd build you up like that. Okay, second to last, they want us to do our Mario Luigi voice practice. I'm not entirely sure what I think they mean, it's me, Mario! Go Luigi, go Luigi. So in various parts, I think they just want you guys to sing, some voice parts that are difficult, but, it's a Mia Mario voice. At least that's what I think they're trying to say. And then, last but not least, we're going to run through the entire piece. And after we run through the entire piece and we did everything that we do, it'll be done, and then the lesson plan is now over. So, thank you for coming to my terrible explanation of this lesson plan. Dr. Gross, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I apologize for getting this assignment in so late. Bye.